Hi everyone, welcome to the March 2020 edition of Pissing in the Wind. Today I'll be covering the AWF, how many lifters and clubs there are in the AWF in each state, recruiting, back squat, and nothing is new. Alright, so just 4 areas. So let's have a look. What I've done is I've separated all the states and all the clubs and just looking at how many lifters each club has in Australia and the averages and so forth. So we'll start with Queensland and you'll see what I mean. So Queensland has 62 lifters that are not registered with any club. Now that could be a typo by the QWA or they're just not registered, I don't know. But anyway, from the 2021 lifters, 62 are not registered. And then as far as clubs are concerned, there are 30 clubs in Queensland. With the addition of those that are not members of a club, which I think I mentioned was 62, there are 488 lifters that are registered with clubs. And that gives an average of about 16 people per club in Queensland. Now, the biggest club by far is Cougars with 92 members, okay? So that's a massive club. Now, let me just pull up the others. I'm a bit slow on the computer, but bear with me. The second club from memory is the Milton Weightlifting Club with 49 members. And then the third largest club is Ipswich Weightlifting Club with 38 members. So Cougars with 92 is just a massive club. If we go to next to the Northern Territory, and let me just fix this up. Okay, so the Northern Territory have 20 lifters that are not registered with any club. They have an additional 21 lifters that are with clubs, and there are 5 clubs. Okay, and there's an average of 4 lifters per club. And the biggest club in the Northern Territory is Central Outback CrossFit with 7 lifters. Then the next largest is CrossFit Darwin with 6 lifters. And then there is CrossFit Abode and CrossFit Palmerston with 3 lifters each. Okay, so that's the Northern Territory. Western Australia have 21 unregistered lifters, or not unregistered, but lifters that are not associated with the club. So there's 21 lifters there. And then they have an additional 104 lifters that are registered with clubs. There are 13 clubs in Western Australia with an average of 8 lifters per club, and the largest club in Western Australia with 21 lifters is Wolfpack Barbell. The next largest club is the Rev Barbell Club with 17, and then the third largest club is Origins Weightlifting Club with 16 lifters. South Australia next. So with South Australia, they have 21 lifters that are not registered with any clubs. And then they have an additional 37 members that are registered with clubs. There are 2 clubs, and it's an average of 18 lifters per club, but you'll see that one club dominates. So the number 1 club in South Australia is the Athletic Compound Weightlifting Club with 31 members, and then there is the Premium PT with 3 members. Okay. Next, Tassie. So let's go to the Tassie numbers. In Tasmania, they have 9 lifters that aren't registered with any clubs. Okay. Let's see here. They have an additional 99 members. They have 15 clubs with an average of, let's say, 6.5 lifters per club. And the biggest club is the Weightlifting Academy, or the Academy of Weightlifting in Tasmania, with 33 lifters. The next largest is Portside Barbell with 11 lifters. They're second. And then Notorious with 9 lifters in third. The next one is Victoria. So let's have a look at the Victorian. So Victoria has 41 lifters that are not registered with a club. Okay. So there's 41 lifters not registered with a club. And there's additional 140 lifters. There are 18 clubs, and there's about 8 lifters per club. And the biggest club in Victoria is Phoenix Weightlifting with 29 lifters. The next largest club is Iron Tribe with 20 lifters. And then, so Hawthorn Weightlifting Club. So let's retract that. Hawthorn Weightlifting Club and Phoenix both have 29 lifters from last year. So they're both in first place, with Iron Tribe coming in next with 20 lifters. Next, the ACT. So the ACT have 19 lifters that are not registered with any clubs, and they have an additional 28 lifters. They have 5 clubs with an average of just under 6 lifters per club. And the largest club there with 11 lifters is Strive Weightlifting Club, followed by Real Fit Strength and Conditioning with 8 lifters, followed by CrossFit 2600, 2,600 or whichever way they say it, with 5 lifters. Next one is New South Wales. So New South Wales has 15 lifters that are not registered with any clubs, and so I find unusual, because in New South Wales you have to be registered with a club, otherwise you can't lift. But again, there could be a mistake in the system. But 15 lifters anyway. So on top of that, they have an additional 282 lifters, 32 clubs with an average of 8 lifters per club. And the largest club is Hardcore Weightlifting with 49 lifters in the club. The next is Shred Barbell Club with 23 lifters. So that's a pretty big difference, nearly double the difference there. And then the third largest club is, if I can find, here we are, Empower Strength and Performance with 22 lifters per club. All right, so they're the New South Wales. And now overall, so just bear with me while I do this. So as far as lifters not registered with a club in all of Australia, sorry about the awkward delay. So there are 208 lifters that are not registered with a club in Australia. There are obviously 8 states, so that's about 20, on an average of 26 lifters per state. Now, as far as an overall summary of all clubs in Australia, there are an additional 1,202 lifters. There are 123 clubs with an average of just under 10 lifters just under an average of 10 lifters per club. So some interesting numbers there that I thought I'd bring up. Now, I was listening to the second part of this is the recruitment. I was listening to a podcast which a lot of you know, which is Weightlifting House, and they had 4 coaches talking about some of the most important things to do with weightlifting and stuff like that. And they said recruiting is more important than training programs. and that's true. No one could deny that. Okay, and if we look overall with what I was just looking at with all the clubs, okay, so there are a total of 1,410 lifters in Australia. So 1,410 lifters in Australia, spread over clubs and people who aren't in clubs. So I'm just going to say that's 131, so that's clubs and states. So again, just under 11 people per situation. But 1,410 lifters in a population of 21 million people. It's a pretty small number. So if we look at the biggest club in Australia is by far Cougars, with 90 something lifters, 92 I think I said. So let me just bring it up. Getting there. Cougars here, yeah, 92. So Cougars has 92 lifters as one club. That's bigger than some states. And then I know there are two clubs that are in equal second position with 49 lifters. And one of them is in New South Wales, and that's Hardcore. Okay, so Hardcore has 49, second largest club in Australia, equal with Milton Weightlifting Club, which is in Queensland. And then, so that's two of the three biggest clubs come from Queensland. And if we have a look at their unregistered lifters, okay, they have, just got to scroll to the top of the page. They have another 62 lifters that aren't even registered with clubs. So it's a massive number of lifters in Queensland. So no one can say anything about Queensland. Okay, so we really need to start recruiting more lifters, and we really need to recruit a lot more junior lifters to start building the foundations. Even if you're looking at the Olympic Games in Queensland that's coming up in 10 years or whatever it is. Okay, so that's an area of concern. The next thing I want to talk about is back squatting. Now, this came from a Instagram post that I saw that Kyle Bruce put up, and I thought it was a very interesting area. So let me just get my notes up here. So from memory, the question was put up from one of his lifters: why do weightlifters back squat? And Kyle put up a reason that the reason why you do back squats, it's going to help with your snatching, and that's an interesting concept. So let me just I'm just going to move this keyboard here. Not very professional, is it? But that's all right. It's only pissing in the wind. It's not a professional thing anyway. So let me just put that there. And so that got me thinking, going, hang on, I've done a lot of research about back squatting and stuff like that. Okay, so let me just type in. Just type into here, and sorry. Here we are. This is the article I was looking for. I remember reading this article a long time ago, so I pulled it out and had a reread of it, and I'm still convinced that I'm right. So it says here it's by Andrew Cheniga Jr. The relative value of back squat in training of weightlifters, and everyone should read that. Okay, so it's called the relative value of back squat in the training of weightlifters, and it does bring up the fact that there has been research done and looking at back squat to snatch relationships. That's shot down a little bit here, and I'm not having a go at Kyle. Like, he's just answering a question that his one of his lifters asked him, and there are researchers that back Kyle's answer up. However, once you read through the article, and you have to remember that weightlifting is concerning itself with snatch, clean and jerk, not with back squat. So we need to really look at the relationship between snatch, clean and jerk and back squat. And again, I do highly recommend that you go and have a look at this article called The Relative Value of the Back Squat in the Training of Weightlifters. So I then started looking at how I break down lifting. Okay, I have my own Excel system that I do, and I've listened to lots of podcasts, read lots of articles, have a sports science degree, all that stuff, all combined, and just anecdotal evidence from what I know. There was also an interesting thing put up on All Things Gym about how to get strong for weightlifting, and you'll notice in there they talk about back squatting as well. And that's if you haven't watched that, I highly recommend that you go and look at that as well. Both this article that's in front of me and the podcast on Weightlifting House with the 4 coaches talking about recruiting, they mention about squatting, the relationship between squatting and snatch, clean and jerk as well. And then All Things Gym also has interesting stuff about snatch, clean and jerk and squatting. So 3 good areas for you to go and look at. However, I put Kyle's numbers up because, again, he just published his super total, and the kid is bloody strong. Okay, there is no doubt that Kyle is very strong. So here's his numbers. His current super total at 85 kilos. He says here that he snatched 160. Well, he hasn't snatched 160 in an official competition, but I'm not going to say he hasn't. Clean and jerk 200. Again, he hasn't done that in competition that I've seen anywhere, but he says he's done it. And then he's got a back squat of 271, a bench of 145, and a deadlift of 260. And they are certainly big numbers. Okay, so I then put Kyle's numbers into my Excel sheet, which I now have in front of me. Okay, and what I've noticed is with his numbers, they're pretty well balanced. So if he's clean and jerking 200, he should be snatching 160. His total will be 360. I've got Kyle down with those numbers, back squatting 265. He's got down that he's back squatted 271, okay? And I would have him deadlifting around the 270 mark, and he's deadlifting 260. Doesn't really matter. I don't know what his front squat, power snatch, power clean, jerk, or pulls are or anything like that. He hasn't published any of those, okay? But from what I believe is that Kyle doesn't need to go any heavier in his back squat pursuit, okay? He needs to start doing more repetitions around, let's say, the 271 mark. I would have him at 265, but no point making him go lighter. His aim should be now to consolidate the 271 and start doing If you can only do a single on it, then attempt to do 2 singles or 1 double or whatever. Increase the volume of 271, but don't increase the load on the 271. And then increase the load once his clean and jerk goes up. Okay, so I wouldn't be pushing Kyle's back squat anymore because he's not going to do back squat in competition. So the numbers that he's published are exactly, as far as I'm concerned, spot on. He's a well-balanced lifter then. Okay. My concern is that people get ego-driven to try to get a massive squat, and they sacrifice time, recovery, energy, and so forth, pursuing a big back or a big front squat, whereby they could consolidate those 2 lifts, the back squat and the front squat, and work more and more on snatch, clean and jerk. One of the main training principles is specificity. Right, so we need to train specifically for snatch, clean and jerk, and they will make you stronger. Okay, so you practice your competition lifts, then you train your other lifts around that. So again, I wouldn't be going any heavier. I'm very happy that Kyle's hitting those numbers because he's a great kid and he's a great lifter, and more power to him. But yeah, I would consolidate his back squat for now and increase the volume, and only increase his back squat numbers as his clean and jerk goes up. Okay, I'm not going to talk about the other numbers. These are my numbers. These are my Excel numbers. So that's my business. The last thing I want to talk about is a picture that I saw Robert Cabas put up. Well, I saw it this morning, so I don't exactly know when it was put up, but I saw it this morning. And it's of a lifter in the 1950s doing a panda pull. Okay, and Robert explains that, nothing is new, and I agree with him. I've always had that belief that everything that we're doing now is what we've done before. Maybe the difference is that we have a slightly better understanding of why we're doing it, because there's better, call it sports science, if you will, knowledge, experience, anecdotal, whatever, behind it now. So therefore we might have a better understanding of why we do certain things in the gym. Okay, so yeah, panda pulls are not new. They just disappeared for a while, and now they've been reintroduced by the Chinese weightlifting team, and people have jumped on those exercises, not realising that they had been done in the past, in at least the 1950s, from the evidence that Robert Cabas has shown on his Instagram account. So it's good to go back in history and have a look at what people have done. It's good to look in the future and see what things are coming up. So I highly recommend that everyone hits the books, podcasts, and all of that sort of stuff, and self-educate yourself on lots of things, because that's how you become a better coach and a better lifter. And again, I do recommend that you watch the All Things Gym strength video that they've put up. It's been up there for a couple of weeks at least. It is really, really good. It's very basic, but it's really, really good. It sort of cuts away a lot of stuff that, it demystifies a lot of training. As it says in the video, training is not rocket science. And this is one of the things that I try to tell my students as well, that writing a program is not rocket science. If you stick with the fundamental principles, you are going to get results, okay? And it then comes down to the athlete, their commitment, their consistency, becomes their responsibility to continue training. All you can do is advise them. You can't lift for them, okay? So I think I might end on that. I've been going for nearly 25 minutes, one of the longer pissing in the winds that I've done. We didn't have one in February. There was no need to do an official pissing in the wind in February because we were shutting everything down. And yeah, So this is the first official one that I'm doing, and it'll be posted up on it won't be posted up on the Odd Socks Instagram. It'll be posted up on the Sissel Weightlifting Instagram. Okay then, until next month, stay safe. Bye.